Well, welcome back to the Vintage Fisherman. I wanted to do a little prelude to this next reel repair that I'm getting ready to do because, well, this reel here that I'm getting ready to tear apart, this model of reels, is probably one of my favorite. I grew up fishing with them on the Outer Banks. They're extremely tough reels. They hold up, they're durable. I still fish with the same reels that I fished with when I was 11, 12 years old. And I just choose to fish the surf with these reels. People say the new reels are better. Well, maybe they are. I've got newer reels and they're fine. They're tough, they're sealed. But these reels, you know, they weren't sealed, so we took better care of them. We took them apart. Some of the first reels I ever learned how to dismantle, clean, lube, replace bearings, replace parts, make sure screws wouldn't get stuck for the next time I took them apart that I ever worked on. And I guess somewhere around 78, I got my first one of these reels, and it's the Daiwa 7000C. And this is a reel I'm going to be rebuilding. I won it at auction. It's beautiful. It's complete. It works. It's stiff, so it's grease choked. Couple things about these reels. I love the click. Man, I love that. Of course, you know, we use these for drum fishing. So we're throwing out there and we're soaking a bait with 8 ounces, and we're waiting on old Big Daddy drum to swim along, you know, and grab a hold of it. I don't get out to the point and down off Hatters like I used to, but this was the go-to back in the 70s, and we like the simplicity of them. They have a really good drag system. They'll handle a lot of line, which not necessarily important for drum because a drum doesn't run real far. He'll dig in hard, so you want some good line, and you want a little bit of capacity, but they won't run 300 yards like a pelagic will, like a kingfish, you know. So king mackerel, but you definitely want some good line, and you want simplicity. These reels are external trip, so all the C models of the Silver series are external bail trip. So there's no internal parts to fail out on you out there. When you crank it around, it hits that red thing and pops that bail. Of course, most of us throw the bail by hand, and we know better. They have a really solid drag system. You can put, and I know for a fact you can run up to 50-pound test on here. You're just not gonna get a lot of it on there, but you can cast it. And, you know, no further than you need to cast for big drum. You can cast plenty far. They are relatively sealed, and they're made out of good quality material, so they don't corrode real easily. A little trivia of the Daiwa 7000C is the world record drum was caught in 1984, November of '84, by David Duell. I think I've got that name correct. It's an IGFA 50-pound class record caught in the surf. I believe at Rodanthe or Cape Hatteras. I'll have to look it up to double check. He caught it on a 7000C. I don't know what kind of rod he was using. It was a surf rod, obviously. He was casting into the surf. And the fish weighed 94 pounds, 2 ounces, and I'm going to insert it right here. I took this picture off of the IGFA website. Like I said, I still fish with these reels. Here's one you can see it's got line on it. It's beat up. I've been fishing with this reel since I was a kid, and I just don't have it on a rod right now. This one here I just fished with last summer down. Also been fishing with this 7000C since I was a kid. Look, it's missing. It's missing the labels. I probably lost them on the beach somewhere, you know, or driving down the beach in the truck, and they just blew off of it before I realized they were loose and had to glue them back on again. But still smooth as glass, folks. I mean, these things were built to last. I got it on a 12-foot big water, ugly stick. I like these things for 8 and bake. They do fine. And, you know, and I run 30-pound, 20 or 30-pound tests. Depends on the time of the year. I've got multiple spools for these things. So my next video coming up, following this introduction or prelude, I guess you could say, is going to be tearing down this reel right here and cleaning it and putting it back together. And I hope you enjoy the Silver Series as much as I do. I hope you fish with one. It's truly a treat. For the surf, I can't think of a better reel than maybe the 704, 706 series from Penn. And then we can get into the 850 SS from Penn. All excellent heavy surf reels. In the spinning series, of course, I'm a bait caster guy or a conventional guy. Also, I throw conventionals. You know, my favorite conventional in the surf back in the day was a squidder, and I realized squidders were slow. Now I moved up to the jig masters, and jig masters are big, and I wanted something in between, so I switched to the 970, 980 series pins, which were you know, had cast control on them, and they cast really well. And they're fine reels, tough reels. I've only got a couple left, but just, you know, really, if you get a chance, if you see one of these things, well, I'm probably going to be bidding against you because I buy every one of them I can. I've got a whole shelf full over here of the Silver Series, going all the way from the one that goes on the mini spin rod, the pack rod, which has a weird reel seat on it. And I'm gonna do a video on these. It goes all the way up to the 9000C, which is the biggest Silver Series made. And of course, they made these in external trip and internal trip. And my bluefish up there was caught on a 4000C. And my first largemouth bass was caught in a pond on 1300X, which was an internal trip Silver Series. Anyway, thank you and enjoy the video. Like and subscribe. Hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the little prelude and trivia on the Daiwa 7000C series. This thing is a real beauty. I'm telling you, it's barely used. It came from the West Coast. I don't guess they do a lot of surf fishing out in California. Don't really know. But it's been fished with, but not like we fish with them around down in the Outer Banks. Alright, there's the complete drag set, and it was together wrong, folks. I will correct that as I put it back together. But these have Teflon washers in them. You can upgrade them to the HT100s or Carbon Tex. Either one, it's about the same thing. And she's a little grungy, but not bad. We'll clean that up. And let's take the handle off. There is a fiber washer, and well, it's actually a Teflon washer in this one. My other ones have fiber washers, but Teflon washer, it goes between that and the handle to seal that up, so don't lose that. Handle pulls right out. The handle, I really like the way these handles are. They're easy to fold. You got a rotating mechanism on there that basically retracts the this piece here, which holds the handle outright when you want it to be. They do get full of salt, and so I highly recommend really spraying them down with WD-40 as you put them back together, and often when you're using them, to keep that from being an issue. All right, let's take the side plate off. I can tell you right now, we might have some stuck screws on this thing. They're pretty corroded. So I'm going to go slow with these screws, because if you break one off, it's pretty much a done deal on the reel, unless you can, I can extract them. I have before, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. I get them loose with a straight blade and then run them with a Phillips, because the Phillips is just easier to get in there. Sorry for the dinging. It's got signs of, it almost looks like a mold or something in there, but it couldn't be. It's probably just grease splattered. You got bearings, so pay attention here. Those are sealed bearings, and that one was in there wrong. You got a washer underneath that. Can't take this out yet. I got to remove this screw here on the axle shaft. Now, I don't wear gloves. I know some of my counterparts in the reel repair business do. I'm a mechanic, and I've been exposing my hands to chemicals so long. If there's damage done, it's too late now, you know. Not saying that's right, but it is the way I feel about it. Right. There's your axle shaft, and pretty well lubricated, but very stiff. Main gear will lift out now. Grungy, very, very grungy. Old grease, you know. These bearings are the same size, so there's a shim on this side. So in order to not get the shim packs mixed up, I'm going to take a small pipe cleaner, and I'm going to put through there, and I'm going to clean those parts together. Okay, we'll leave it right there. Those two shims, I know where they go. Hell, there might be a third shim there. No, I guess there isn't. That's really dirty, but that's okay. We will get it clean. Take the crosswind out. You kind of give it a little turn and come out with it. The crosswind gear is actually held in with a screw. Well, or is it? No, actually in this one, well, yes, it is held in with a screw. Sometimes, some of the Daiwas, it just sits in there. This one, it does have a screw in it. Oh boy, I hope I can. This is not starting out too good. So when this happens, folks, sometimes you're better off leave well enough alone. I can clean this reel with that gear in there. If I try to get this screw out, I'm going to do more damage than good. So we're going to leave that alone. Make sure there's not any shims down in the other side of the cover. We're good on both sides. We can remove the spool and bail now. Excuse me. All right, let's pull the spool or the rotor.
they get rough sometimes. They're hard to get apart. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the worm gear nut or the rotor retainer back on there. And we're going to get a little more forceful. This reel's, I can't say it's ever been apart. Have to get a little more force on it. We'll get the rubber mallet out. I want to leave the nut on there so it doesn't go flying and go across the room. It's coming. Lord have mercy. She is tight. Yeah, it's like working on the diesel stuff all day. Run into stuff I don't want to run into. Sometimes, folks, you just got to use a little patience. I believe it just moved a little bit. Yeah, it's starting to work now. Never been off, I can tell you that. Because I, and most guys that rebuild reels, would put a little bit of grease on there before it went back together so it wouldn't stick like that. Okay. Now we'll take this retainer off. Hopefully it won't. Screws will be more cooperative there. I'm not going to take this anti-reverse off. I don't think it needs to come off of there. I can clean and lubricate that with it to still together. It's not a big deal. Retainer's out. There's your worm gear and main bearing, which is pretty easy to pick out because it's bigger than the other. Those parts can be clean. I'm going to scrape most of this out. I'm not going to remove the anti-reverse. This housing is pretty much ready. Yep, just want to make sure that wasn't a shim in there. All right, let's take this apart. Now, there was no shims in there. I'm gonna take the bail. The bail is definitely needing a little work. So the roller's locked up on it. Always match your screwdriver to your slot. See how big that is? It's made to stick a coin in. Like you could take, I've shown this on a couple of other videos, but the pin wrench that comes with most of their conventional reels is the same thickness as a coin, and it works just perfect to take something like that loose. You've got the screw that holds the bale wire, and it's got a Teflon washer on it. I'm going to leave it together. You've got like a little stand or shouldered washer that goes in there. It's got fishing line in it. That's probably why it wasn't rolling. You've got the roller, and then you've got Daiwas and Penn did the same thing. You put bushings inside the roller that you could replace. And then this side here, if there's going to be a stuck screw, this is where it's going to happen at. I broke a bunch of these off. So we are going to give it a little dose of, was going to give it a dose of Kroll oil. Oh, there it goes. More than a dose of Kroll oil. And, see if we can't get it out. Let's all pray. This is where they usually break. Oh, it's nice. It's nice. No breakage there. Didn't probably need the oil, but never hurts. I keep all my rotor bale parts together. Alright, once again we're going to put, yeah, this thing has never been apart because those screws were not ever tightened. That's always good. I really like that. Alright. Bell spring is still good. Here's the last screw that could give us a fit. The last one. Let me give it just a little bit of Kroll. And I buy the Kroll oil in these containers here. I do have it in the spray, but I usually just pour some of this in one of those and use it. I've got the spray also. It's, you know, it's 20, 30 bucks right there, so use sparingly. Kroll is a really good oil to get these stuck screws out with. Alright, got that one. I've only got 3 more screws to go. I'll take these all the way out. Take that spring out. If you notice, the short arm of the spring was under the cover. So just remember that. Now I'm going to take these out. Some people will, some people won't. The reason why I'm going to do it because I'm going to clean any corrosion that might be underneath that ratchet. So I'm going to get a good look at how that's in there so I can put it back in the right orientation. It's not the end of the world if I don't, because I can always take it back apart. Oh man, it came apart easy. Well, sometimes you get lucky. It had some corrosion, but it wasn't bad, so can't complain. And there it goes. It fell out. Knock the screws out. That's the whole reel, folks. That's the beauty of the Daiwa 7 or Silver Series 7000C. It's tough, it's simple, it's easy to maintain. I'll spend some time and clean all this up and put it in my ultrasonic washer. The bodies I put in a vat of WD-40. I've got a 3-gallon vat that I use to clean the bodies of the reels because it doesn't hurt the paint and it gives it a nice protective cover after you're done. I clean the spools in that. It won't hurt the decals. The ultrasonic will take the paint out of the decals and any kind of printed paint on the body. It'll take it off, so you don't want to do that. It's safe to put the handles in the ultrasonic. Doesn't seem to hurt plastic like that, but it's not great for some other plastics. So I'll get to cleaning this up. I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll be back in just a little bit. All right, I'm back. It's the next day. but got tied up last night. Didn't finish the reel up. I did get it clean, but I did not finish it. So let's put this beautiful reel back together. We'll start out with the rotor assembly. Get everything out of the way here. As you can notice, I spray my parts down with WD-40 and let that kind of penetrate the metal. So, you know, if I do use this thing in salt water, I don't know what I'm going to use this reel for. May not use it at all. I may sell it. May give it to one of my kids. I've got 3 boys. So, let's make it work again. That went on like that. And there was 3 countersunk screws that go in there. They're Phillips head. I greased that up good, put it on there. That way it won't, the threads won't get stuck if I ever have to take it back apart again. Or if I fish with it, I'll of course clean it when I get home, like I do all my reels. And it brings up a good point. I don't have any here on the bench, but when I'm at the pier fishing, at the end of each day, I spray my reels down with that pin reel cleaner. I spray the rods down too. And that stuff really does take the salt off. I like it better than some of the other brands that are supposed to remove salt. Okay, so we got that. Let's go over here on this side and put the bell spring in. I put a little bit of grease on my threads now. We're going to make sure nothing gets stuck. That spring kind of, you can see where it's been wearing against the rotor right there, so I'm going to put some grease there. Spring sits in there like that. Cover goes in like this, and I'll put the cover on there loosely. I'm not going to tighten it down just yet. Hope you're getting all this, folks. I'll try to move over here more to the middle. Okay. Still getting used to the camera, the angle of the lens. May not have the best camera for indoor use, but I had to buy something I could use for indoor, outdoor, etc. Because I'm going to be doing some fishing videos. So that spring goes into a hole on the bottom of the bell arm, and this will kind of go in like that. You got to kind of hold the whole world together here on this thing. It gets kind of dicey sometimes. Things can go flying. Be patient. Because it can get rough. And this is, I got it all mixed up right now. Let's see here. Right there. Okay. I'm not too sure if I got it just right. We'll see. We'll find out here in a real quick minute. No, I do not. Let me start all over again. Sometimes things go a little haywire on these. That's supposed to go over there. That's why it wasn't going together right. I don't know what's worse. The smaller reels that have the lighter bell springs and stuff, and you can kind of get everything going together on them, or these bigger reels that you can kind of get to everything on them. I don't know. It's just it's a toss-up. Sometimes it just takes 4 hands and holding your mouth right. Alright, so your bell is going to do like that. And of course, that cover's still loose. We're going fix that right now. We're good there. A little bit of grease here. Screw goes in there. I'm moving kind of fast. I'm sorry, I apologize. What a nice looking reel. This thing was been barely fished with over the years. Alright, now we can put the roller assembly together. You've got the bushing, which gets a little bit of oil. That goes on there. You got the roller, goes over top of the bushing. Then I take a little bit of grease and just dab down in that hole. Don't take much. You got this little standoff, and the cup side goes towards the roller, and it'll go on here, and just put the screw in there and tighten it down. Beautiful. Rotor assembly is done. Let's go on to bigger, better things here. I cleaned on this for quite a bit yesterday. This reel had a lot of old grease in it. It was in good shape, just a lot of old grease. Gonna oil that main gear. I'm going to, because I couldn't get that gear out of there, I'm gonna try my best to lubricate it in the housing. So I'm gonna spread some grease all around it. It'll spread itself. Once you get it on there, after a few revolutions, it's pretty well spread around. Need grease up on top of the gear too anyway, so gonna put the worm gear in. So some grease right there. I know I'm moving fast here. Get that off of there. I put some grease in here where the bearing sits, but I don't want the grease to so much go on the bearing, as just where the bearing rests, so that it doesn't stick in there next time I go take it all apart. So there's your worm gear. I'm gonna lube it up really good. At your front door. Sorry about that, it's my security alarm. A little bit of grease there on that end of that worm where it goes up into the housing there, supports it. So it's going to look like that. Alright, grease in those threads. I'll probably use more grease than most other people do. Overall, not like in one spot. I don't put all the grease on the gear, you know. It gets spread around the whole reel pretty well. I wish I had a screw setter for these Phillips head screws, but I really don't. So I just kind of gotta squeeze my big fingers in there. Been working on a Deutz engine all day. Diesel engine. Let's see here. It's a nice difference to go from something big to something small. I'll get that. Once again, I put some grease down in those screw holes, so if it does get some salt up in it here, which is possible here at the rotor, it won't, the screws won't stick. Won't get corroded and stick in there and break off. Got that. Might give it just a little bit of grease. Now, something to think about here when you put grease in here and you're out surf fishing. When you're on the beach, the wind's almost always blowing, sand's getting blown around here. You don't see that, but that sand gets blown all in these reels. It can get up in here. It will stick. Anywhere you've got grease, sand will stick to it. This WD-40 will dry up. But if there's any grease anywhere, it's going to stay wet and it's going to get stuck. And you'll have a pile of sand there that you'll have to clean out. And usually wherever there's sand, there's salt on the beach, and that sand will leave little speckles where it sticks from the corrosion. Something to think about. Alright, the main gear. We'll rotate that back around to there. Let's get the crosswind greased up. And this sits in there like that. Your main gear had this crosswind drive gear on it, and then it had a shim. Got some lint on it there somehow or another. You got a bearing. Both these bearings were exactly the same. I went back and looked. I originally said that seal was supposed to go out, but it's not. It's supposed to go like this. The steel shield goes out, not the rubber shield. Don't really know why, but that's how they had it. So that's what we're going to go with, because I guess Daiwa knows more than I do. Alright, so let's get lots of grease on this. Be generous on the main gear, and it can go down against that. There it is. Alright, we're going to put the rotor on now. I could have done it first. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure nothing falls apart. Okay, you had two shims that actually went between the bearing and the main gear. Put those on there. We have the axle shaft. I use oil on the axle shaft, except for right at the end, and the only reason why I do that is because that little bit of grease that will pile up against that end of that worm gear will kind of work as a barrier to now you slide that axle shaft in, there's one Phillips head screw that goes in there and holds it in. There's like a little cutout on the end of that shaft that screw goes by and locks it into place. Got that. Definitely, if you're going to use grease anywhere on any screws, it'd be these three cover screws. They will corrode the most. It's your first line of defense towards the ingestion of salt water. And your bearing goes in with a steel shield out. I don't know why we're doing this. It don't want to fit. Cover. Screws. Alright. She's smooth. Alright, the handle can get some oil. You got a pivot point here. You got the threads up under there. I use my spinning reels cast right and crank left, just like I do my bait casters. Conventional reels, different. Take some grease and put right there. It's going to work as a shield to oil getting in there, or I mean salt water. Okay, let's just crunch it. Oh, that's smooth. That's really smooth. The handle needs a little bit of oil. Let's go for that. Let's just fill that up. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. Last thing left to do on this reel is to build the drag. You don't use cowls. I don't use cowls on Teflon washers. I do just put a drop of oil. You got 3 Teflon washers. One of them is heavier wall than the other 2. That one goes in first. And then one of your brass washers. Then a little dab of oil. Then a Teflon. A little dab of oil. And the eared washer goes in the middle. Dab of oil. Teflon, dab of oil, and your brass washers. And then you've got a hexagon, no, pentagon shape, I don't know, 6-sided snap ring goes in there, and that's it. Spool goes on. Just kind of rotate it till all the washers get lined up. Put your adjuster on. Wipe off any excessive oils and greases. This is a beautiful reel. I'll probably fish with it someday. If I live long enough and I get back down there a few times, I'll take it with me. Beautiful reel. Definitely a gem. Hey, there it is. Daiwa 7000C. External bell trip. Some people don't like them. I love them. Very dependable. So there it is. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I've got a lot more content coming up. The Vintage Fisherman.